Hello and welcome to another edition. This is a special edition of Professor Nick Carbonaro's live stream office hours. And in just 1 minute, I will get started to do a GBUS 10 Quiz 3 test review. Hey everybody, so this is Professor Nick Carbonaro here at Long Beach City College, NJ Carbonaro on Twitter, youtube.com/Professor Nick Carbonaro. On my website, nickcarbonaro.com. So today it's a Sunday morning, Sunday bright and early morning. And for those that are actually tuning in, I'm going to be doing a live stream version, a study session for GBUS 10 Personal Financial Management Quiz number 3. So give me just 1 second to load everything up and get you guys loaded up on YouTube. And if you have any questions, again, just chat it in, right? Chat it in for us. Give me 1 second. Got to load up our stuff. Sean, my good buddy, is checking out my YouTube stream. What's up, Sean? Learn something about personal finance, man. If you're watching this, learn something about personal finance. But those 3 people that are out there, what we're going to start doing, it's 2 minutes in, so let's get started reviewing for our test on tomorrow and on Tuesday. And again, I apologize if it's on Halloween, but it's the way that the class rumbles. So let me pull up our study guide. I got this over here. Got my monitor, got everything ready to go. So again, if you have any questions with anything, chat them in, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. If we are looking at, if you are looking for any extra help with any of this, you could always go check out my YouTube page. I have my site set up where my different playlists have personal finance. It has my different classes that I teach, social media. So I have videos on social media, recommended videos, videos for my introduction to business class, teaching supplementals, everything like that. So go to my website, nickcarbonaro.com. Go to my YouTube page, Professor Nick Carbonaro, /Professor Nick Carbonaro. YouTube is a very great tool to show my a little bit of my personal side, but mixing current events with business aspects that are going on. I usually, if I do talk politics in my Twitter page, it usually relates to something regarding our business world. So whether it be taxes and relating to tax regulation for our personal finance, social media usage, all those different types of things. So if you are out there, do that. So let's get started. I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I want to make this video kind of short, 15 minutes at most, because then it gets a little sleepy. So chapter 6 was all about open revolving credit, right? So if you are in our personal finance class, it is all about open revolving credit. So chapter 6 says the first one is define affinity cards. Now, we didn't talk about this in class because I thought it was, I'd rather use class time to actually do examples and to do stuff like that, not memorize different type of cards. However, this is a good card to know because it's one of those application aspects of our stuff. Remember when I said in class, I go, listen, I'm going to teach you what it is, and then when we actually do stuff, not just what it is, not just the knowledge of it, but the application of it. So affinity cards are the type of cards that, let's say for every dollar you purchase, 50% of that amount goes to breast cancer awareness, right? There are certain type of cards out there. It's like painless philanthropy, as they call it, right? Painless philanthropy, meaning you're not having to go out of your way to deal with philanthropy. So define what affinity cards are, and you'll be good. The next one says, when is it not a good idea to use credit? So think about that. Think about when it's not a good idea to use credit. That was a Top Hat question in class that we did in our Top Hat software. But when is it not a good idea to use credit? Think about some of those times, whether it's for day-to-day usage on certain things, when you can't afford stuff, all those different types of things that we talked about, like when is it not good to do it? And it's that very first slide in Top Hat that says improper uses of credit. Define a credit bureau. So for those that don't know what a credit bureau is, a credit bureau is the people that go through and find out your credit worthiness and determine how much what your credit score is and everything like that. Those are the credit bureaus out there. Understand the ways to build a strong credit rating. Remember all those things to build a strong credit rating: paying on time, having good payment history, not opening and closing so many accounts, all those different types of things we went over in class, we went over on Top Hat. Those answers are specifically on Top Hat for Chapter 6. Understand ways to secure your credit from credit fraud. So we talked about some of these things, and there, again, another slide. Everything in this chapter is on Top Hat. Everything in this chapter has been covered on Top Hat. So buying a paper shredder, making sure that the Wi-Fi that you're using is secure, right? That HTTPS for secure reasons. Never putting your social security number on a check, or a credit card number on a check, right? All those different types of things that it says about how to protect yourself from social security fraud. That's at the end of the chapter. Go look at that as well. Understand the ways to, what are the most common forms of open account credit? So what are those most common forms of open account credit, right? Remember, open account credit is the most common ways are probably your retail cards and your bank cards out there, right? Your retail cards, bank cards, your gas cards, all those different types of things are the most common open account credit. Now we do have equity lines of credit, home credit lines at your financial institution. However, they are there, but they're not as popular as your credit card. Are interest rates on credit cards higher or lower than other consumer credit? Now remember, Chapter 7 is about consumer credit, right? So think about your loans. Think about what we talked about in Chapter 7 and the reason why you would use Chapter 7 type of loans versus Chapter 6, right? And that should answer your question. Who issues credit ratings, right? Who issues those credit ratings? So the credit bureaus issue those credit ratings. That's easy. How can you make a credit card an interest-free loan? So remember, we talked about this. So this is a good tip for people that don't know a lot about credit cards. So your credit card has a stated due date, right? A stated due date, right? And they may even have a stated period. So meaning your payment period. So if your payment period is from, let's say, October 1st to October 31st, right? October 1st to October 31st. So during that time frame, you're making purchases, right? Come October 31st, it's a new payment period. Therefore, your totals get calculated. And then maybe 15, 20 days later, your statement is due. You can make that an interest-free loan if you pay off everything before your finance charges get applied. Well, when do finance charges get applied? After the beginning period, right? After the end of the period. So if you have October 1st to October 31st, let's say you put something on your credit card on October 2nd, right? So you have until October 31st to pay that off without being charged interest. So if you pay October 2nd, you went out and you went out to dinner, you spent $150. You then go and on October 10th, pay off that $150 that you had. Well, when your statement ends, when the due date happens, the balance is zero. 15%, let's say, is your interest rate. 15% of zero is zero. So you can make that an interest-free loan by paying before the due date. And then what would be an indication of overspending? So think about for you, what would be an indication of overspending? I know for me, an indication for overspending would be me going to my bank account and not seeing any money. But why would that happen? Right? Why would you be spending money so fast? So think about those reasons. What would be an indication of overspending, and come up with some reasons that you believe would be that indication of overspending. All right. Let's go to Chapter 7. Chapter 6 is pretty easy. It was all about credit cards and stuff like that. So Chapter 7 here. Define collateral. What is collateral? Right? What is collateral? What is collateral? Collateral is the backing of a loan. So if you get a car loan, Your collateral is your car. If you get a home loan, your collateral is your home. If you don't have any of those types of things, you could put money down as a secured payment, right? A secured payment. Which type of educational loan most carries the highest interest charge, right? So there's a specific chart on our Top Hat page. Go to that chart, look it up. Look up which one it is. Is it a Perkins loan, a Plus loan, a subsidized loan, all those different types of things. Go look at it, see what it is. I list the interest rates there. Simple matchup, put it on your note card, and you're good to go. Calculate a finance charge for a single payment loan using simple interest. So this is a thing that we did in class, right? This is a thing that we did in class, right? And let me pull it up over here. I'm going to pull it up for us over here. You are going to be able to use this chart, and you're going to be able to see this chart. And let me zoom in so we can see it over here. This is the chart that you'll be able to use on your lecture. So let's say the question said, you have an original loan amount of $10,000 at an interest rate of 10% for 5 years. Your interest finance charge would be $5,000, right? That would be how you calculate your finance charge, right? Now, however, the other question said, okay, finance charge for a single payment loan. If you look at your sheet, it's P times R times T. PRT. P times R times T. And you all answered that in your Top Hat. We all got 100% on our Top Hat while we did in the class the other day. And so calculate a finance charge for a single payment using simple interest. Okay, great. Calculate a finance charge for a single payment using payment loan using a discount method. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that in just 1 second. That'll be the discount method one will be the last one we actually do in our class, in our session today. So sorry, I'm pulling something up real quick. Let me pull something up real quick. Pulling something up real quick. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that you have all the necessary information because I said it's on Top Hat, but I want to make sure that we have our Top Hat loaded up. Good. Both sections have their Top Hats loaded up so that we can move on from here. Great. So the next part of the question, we'll come back to that discount method in a second. We'll come back to this one in a second. But the next one says calculate APR for a single payment loan using simple interest. So if we get this chart here, now I'll let you know. On the test, this isn't going to be built. This right here is not going to be built. So you may want to look here. Otherwise, you could do it with your calculator. This is just an easier way of doing it, but do it with your calculator. So the total payback. Remember, what is a total payback of a loan? Total payback of a loan is equal to your original loan amount, principal, plus, and then you hit the plus sign, and then your interest. Remember, finance charge, interest, they're interchangeable. So $15,000, right? Now, average annual finance charge. So remember, with a single payment loan, we talked about this in class. Single payment loan, the average annual finance charge stays constant, meaning it doesn't change because of the fact that, or the denominator doesn't change because of the fact that it's a single payment loan. You're not paying anything each month. So in year one of this loan of $10,000 at 5 years, or at 10% for 5 years, year one, you took out $10,000. Year two, you still owe $10,000. Year three, you still owe $10,000. Year four, you still owe $10,000. Year five, you still owe $10,000, but now because it's the end of the life of the loan, you own that $10,000 plus the interest, the finance charge for actually having that $10,000 over the 5-year course. So, okay. compared to an installment loan where you would actually get it subtracted each month. And so therefore it would be different because year one you'd have 10,000, but then you'd make payments each month. And year two it may go down to 8,000 and go down, and so on and so forth. So let's calculate this average annual finance charge. The average annual finance charge, right? The average annual finance charge for this example, right? For this example right here would be, well, to find the average of something, you have to divide it by. So the annual finance charge is $5,000, or I'm not even going to type 5,000. I'm going to type this number right there. I type B5. Then we press the division sign. And then we're dividing it by T for the amount of time that is involved in it. Okay. Now we got the numerator part of the APR, right? APR is the average annual finance charge divided by the loan outstanding, right? The loan outstanding. And in this case, a single payment loan is always your principal. So you could go equals this divided by this, and let's put that into percentage form for you. And look at these two are exactly the same, and that's how you know if you got the answer right, because without fees involved, there's no fees involved in this, you could get the answer correct, right? It's the 10% because that's what it is, the APR, the annualized percentage rate. If there's no fees involved, they're the same thing, right? They're the same thing. So let's do this same example, but using a discounted method, right? Because we didn't use the discounted method in class. So let's change the numbers over here. And our example we'll give, when it says right here, the calculate a finance charge for a single payment loan using a discount method. So guess what? With a discount method, it's the same exact thing. So let's say we do this, 10,000, we'll use the same exact numbers, 10,000, but we'll change up the years and the interest rate because I use this example on Top Hat, so I'll do the example for Top Hat for you on here so you can match it up. 8% interest rate, time for 2-year loan, right? Let me clear this out because this isn't going to be there. So let me do this for us for the sake of this class. Sorry, guys. All right. All right. Same exact thing. So now we're going to do this. We're going to do the discount method, right? Using the same number. So we have 10,000 times 8% times 2 years. And so we'll do this as a percentage. Okay. Equals this times this times this, right? PRT. So this is the same numbers. The discount method and the simple interest have the same exact right here. All this stuff right here. Let me color code that for you. All these are the same. For those in orange for us. Those are going to be the same. Where we're going to differ is this over here. Because what happens with the discount method is that this interest gets taken out right at the very beginning. Right at the very beginning. It's subtracted at the beginning from the borrower. So the total finance charge is still $1,600. However, the amount to the borrower, right? The amount to the borrower is really and let me add, hold on, let me add. The amount to the borrower is equal to this minus this. So with the discount method, you discount it out. You take out the money right away. So the amount to the borrower is $8,400. So if we're looking at the APR and we say that the APR is the average, right? The average annual finance charge, this is still all the same. This right here, average annual finance charge is all the same. However, the APR now, instead of being this time, this number divided by this number, we are looking at this number divided by that number. And so you could see, and let me make it as specific as possible. You could see that the interest rate, the APR, is actually higher than the simple interest rate because of the fact that the money was taken out first. So that 1,600 is that rate that you're actually paying is higher because the amount of money that you're doing. And so there is no, the total payback, because the fact that the net is given to the borrower, we already take this out. So there is, for this one, I'll fill it in red, because there is no total payback on a discount because you've paid it back at the very beginning of the life of the loan, right? Of the life of the loan. And so that's what we're doing in this portion right here. So again, with the discount one, if you look at it, you're going to be taking C6, which is still the finance charge. I mean, not that one, sorry. The average annual finance charge, these are highlighted for you. You can see average annual finance charge, C8 over here, and you're dividing it by the amount to the borrower. So that's the only difference with the discount method, is that the borrower gets the money taken out up front first, so you don't have to calculate payback like we do for the other one, because it's not principal plus interest. It's actually, they calculate the interest up front, they deduct it out, and then you get the net. So if you get the net, remember it's the amount to the borrower. So if you remember our top hat slides, and when we looked at what the APR is, it's the average loan balance outstanding, right? The average loan balance outstanding isn't this $10,000 anymore. This is your average loan balance outstanding, right? Average loan balance outstanding. So so yeah, that's the difference between a discounted method and the other one. Now, we didn't go over the discounted method in class. We didn't have enough time to do it. And because it's not too much different, the calculations aren't different. The only difference is the average loan, if you know the definition, the average loan balance outstanding, well, your loan balance outstanding is no longer $10,000 because that's not your loan balance. Your loan balance is actually $8,400 because you took out $1,600 right from the very beginning, So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this will help you understand the lecture a little bit more, help you understand the test for tomorrow. And remember, again, 3x5 note card, and that's all we're doing. And then afterwards, I encourage you after the exam to go out into the E-Quad to go to the major declaration day. So we'll talk about that tomorrow in class. But other than that, I'll leave it open for a question or two, and then I'll get off of here, and you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Okay, so you asked the one, it's so tiny, Okay, yeah. How did you get the amount to the borrower again? Are you talking about for the discount method? The discount method. I think you're talking about the discount method. So here's how you get it to the borrower for the discount method. If you, and let me hide this so that we don't get confused. I'm going to hide this part right here so that we don't get confused. So if we have an example, and this is an example in Top Hat. So if you go to our Top Hat slide, and I'll show you, and let me put the Top Hat slide over here as well. Here's our Top Hat slide that we had in class, right? And we wrote a bunch of this stuff on there. And so the APR says the average annual finance charge divided by the average loan outstanding, the average loan balance outstanding, right? And if we go to the discount method, right, I'm using these same exact numbers, 10,000, 8%, 2-year loan. Total finance charge is still the same. You still calculate finance charge the exact same way, right? You still calculate finance charge the exact same way. So this right here is all the same, right? 10,000, 8%, 2 years. All you got to do is when you find that out, you go P times R times T. However, the discount method says, okay, instead of giving the borrower all $10,000 and then asking for the total payback, which right here would have been 10,000 plus 1,600, right? Instead of having them pay all that back in 2 years from now, we have them pay the interest portion up front. We have them pay the interest portion up front. Is that clear so far before I move on? We have them pay the interest portion up front. So the interest is 1,600. So if they paid the interest portion up front, how much would be the loan outstanding? How much would we actually give them if they pay the interest amount all the way up front? So it doesn't accumulate over time. We give them less the amount. So the amount to the borrower over here would be this amount, your original 10,000, because that's what they took out, minus the finance charge. We eliminate the finance charge right up front, say, hey, listen, you don't have to pay that back in 2 years. Let's get rid of it all right now, right? All you're going to have to pay back at the end of the loan is that 8,400. You're still paying the same amount, but you're paying a portion of it up front. So now we have 8,400, right? Are we okay with that so far before I move on? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And so then it's just a simple math. Instead of doing the 10,000 as your denominator in this equation, the finance charge, that doesn't change. It's still 1,600 because it's the original loan amount, interest rate, all that stays the same. The only difference is how much the actual person is getting up front, right? And so because they're not getting that whole 10,000, they're getting the whole 8,400 instead, the discounted portion of it. Oh, sorry. That's where you get this 9.52% because we go the finance charge, still same formula that we did in class the other day, finance charge, but instead of the 10,000, now we're doing this discounted portion, right? This discounted portion. And when we do it, it's 9.5% instead of 8%, which means that's some of the things you got to look at when, wow, something has a higher interest rate than it does in APR. Well, it may be because of the fact of the way that it's calculated, the method that it's calculated and stuff like that. So good. Any other questions before we log off for today and you can get to studying? I went a lot of time over. It's a half hour. I apologize, but I think this was a good session for everybody. I think this will makes it sense for you. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So glad this helped. Glad this helped. Okay. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log off here. Let me do something real quick. So hopefully you learned something from this. Look at the study guide. Study guides posted online. Make your note card, 3x5 note card, handwritten front back. You'll be seeing a remind app telling you, hey, don't forget test tomorrow and everything like that. So if you have any questions, let me know. Email me, tweet me, do whatever you need to do. Otherwise, have a great day.